The first of our two Hall of Fame inductees truly is, and we throw this word around a great deal, but he is an icon in the world of sports. He's not a professional athlete, hasn't been a coach, not a GM, not an owner, but through his work, through his words, he's transformed how we all think about sports. He simply shares the humanity of athletes, the purity of the competition, his admiration of the human spirit. Two of his books, the novel Everybody's All-American and Alex, The Life of a Child, his remembrance of his daughter who died of cystic fibrosis, have been made into motion pictures. Two of his original screenplays, Trading Hearts and 4 Minutes, have also been made as films. The Associated Press Sports Editor's Red Smith Award was given to Frank for major contributions to sports journalism. Frank Deford has been elected to the Hall of Fame of the National Association of Sportscasters and Sports Writers. Few people in any field are known simply by one name. Deford, in my field, means the gold standard of sports literature. A graceful, singular style and skill, a surety of excellence that would drive you as a young kid trying to learn to write the power of words every week when Sports Illustrated would come. Get it, glance at the cover, and go, as they said, to the back of the book for the long piece that more often than not was written by Frank, where you could study and marinate and exult in when Frank Deford turned literally into an art form with his words of truth and honesty.
But even as he sails toward his 73rd birthday, he continues to set the standard for sports writing and on-air commentary. Continues to be the one the younger guys look up to, knowing that the world is so different today and they can never have the career that he did, the opportunities that he's had. Never cover athletes the same way, never find the venues for storytelling, and never ever make it look so dang effortless. We should all doff our collective caps in the direction of Frank Deford, who is undeniably and unmovably the real thing in a profession that's full of fakers and wannabes. A native of Baltimore, a graduate of Princeton, he's been voted Sports Writer of the Year by his peers 6 different times, has been inducted into the Hall of Fame of the National Association of Sportscasters and Sports Writers, and is the winner of the National Magazine Award for Profile Writing, the magazine industry's equivalent of the Pulitzer Prize. He got his start writing for Sports Illustrated in 1962, nearly 50 years ago, and continues as a senior contributing writer for the magazine today. He's also a regular commentator on National Public Radio's Morning Edition and a correspondent for HBO's Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel. And if that's not enough, he's the author of 15 books, the most famous of which is the novel Everybody's All-American, one of the 25 greatest sports books of all time, according to Sports Illustrated, and the impetus for a great movie of the same name.
Presenting the award this evening, Kyle Hightower, sports reporter for the Associated Press, and the best email I've gotten in the last year was the request to read the inscription tonight, which I consider a great privilege. 2014 Giant Steps Award winner, Hall of Fame inductee, Frank Deford. We honor you for the decades of brilliant and insightful writings, especially those that are closest to the heart. Your work has reached far beyond the world of sport, and the energy and determination you have put into your philanthropic endeavors has changed the lives of individuals living with cystic fibrosis. Their dreams are now coming true as they live longer and fulfilling lives. Congratulations.
Just a quick story before I present the award to Frank. At 15 years old, I was sure I wanted to be an accountant. So I took an accounting course my sophomore year in high school. But after a semester filled with the ins and outs of accounts payable and accounts receivable, I quickly realized that an accounting career wasn't for me. Feeling a little frustrated, I sought the advice of my big brother. He was 4 years older, in college, and studying journalism. We talked about my love for writing and sports, and in the end, he gave me a stack of articles. In those articles was a 1981 Sports Illustrated profile about a brash, young basketball coach at Indiana University named Bobby Knight. Here's a snippet from that article. Knight happens to be a substance guy in a style world. Hey, He could look very good in polyester and boots and one of those teardrop haircuts that anchor men and male stewardesses wear. Very good. He's tall, 6'5", and dimpled, as we know, and handsome. And the gray hair and embryonic potbelly that have come to him as he crosses into his 41st winter are pleasant modifying effects. That's just a sample of the detail, care, and touch that people have come to expect when they read a Frank Deford profile or article. That ability to capture even the most complex individuals in very relatable ways. But there's no way he could know this. That article, written a full 11 months before I was even born, helped to inspire this young kid from tiny Paducah, Kentucky, to want to pursue a career as a sports writer. In that piece, I too have shared with other young aspiring scribes who want to know how the greats do it. So to Frank, for your influence you've had on me, I say thank you. And for the countless others who will be influenced by your work, I say congratulations on another well-deserved reward. Thank you.
Thank you. It's extraordinarily sweet tribute to win any award of this nature, but I must say, following in the footsteps of all these other winners tonight, it's so terribly, terribly humbling too. So I am even more appreciative now than I was when I first learned that I was going to win this award. I must say too that after all the nice things that Bob said about my writing, I guess a lot of athletes would be very surprised that I was winning any kind of award that has to do with academics. You're all familiar, I'm sure, with the coach just referenced, Bobby Knight, bivouac somewhere out in West Texas now. And of course, Bobby's a great student of journalism, and he once said, the best time in every sports writer's life were the 3 years he spent in second grade. So, to win any award with academics is especially nice. And I'm such an old sports writer now, too, that I'm one of the few people here that actually saw my co-winner, Wayne Embry, play the game. And I got to tell you about that. Wayne played for the Cincinnati Royals, mostly. And the way it worked was this. Wayne would run down court, and he would, what are you, 6'7", Wayne? And he would stand next to somebody the size of Dikembe, Russell or Thurman or Chamberlain, in their shadow. And then Oscar Robertson would bring the ball down the court, and he would throw it to Jack Twyman, who would shoot. Or he'd throw it to Adrian Smith, who would shoot. Or later he would throw it to Jerry Lucas, who would shoot. Or Oscar would shoot it himself sometimes. And then Wayne would run back the other side of the court and stand next to Russell or Chamberlain or Thurman. I'll tell you, there was nobody any braver than Wayne Embry. And he was also the ultimate teammate. And Bill Russell told me that, Wayne, when they brought you over to the Celtics. So it is particularly gratifying for me to be receiving this award in your company this evening. So congratulations to you, sir. Of course, I know I'm not here tonight just as a sports writer. Yes, I have indeed written a great deal and spoken a great deal about academics and sports. I'm afraid most often in despair, but always with at least a smidgen of hope. But I'm here as someone who has dealt with something very different indeed, which Bob made reference to earlier. I had a child, Alexandra, who never could play sports and was sadly gone before she really had a chance to deal with academics. She died of cystic fibrosis at the age of 8. And I believe this, that all I have accomplished as a writer, blessed with a talent, all of that I know pales before what I have just tried to do in the challenge of cystic fibrosis and helping the doctors to find the cure. I just happened to be in a profession that made me a little more visible than most other parents of CF children. So this award, I think, is really for all those other mothers and fathers who did so much more than I, but have never received as much recognition. And perhaps more important, and I found this out a long time ago, in any charity, in any worthwhile endeavor, such as this one, those who deserve the most credit of all are those who do not contribute because the success may benefit them or benefit someone they love, but who do it simply out of the goodness of their own hearts. Tennessee Williams said it best in A Streetcar Named Desire. I have always depended on the kindness of strangers. And so must we all in any endeavor where we seek to improve lives and advance good. So must you here at the consortium. Find those strangers who can then become friends and then become stalwarts in your cause. I'm happy to say, too, that because of all those strangers and of all the devoted mothers and fathers giving the funds that made the doctors work in the fight against CF, that we have come so very, very far. My daughter died at the age of 8 in 1980, which was pretty much the average lifespan of someone with cystic fibrosis then. And now that lifespan, that average lifespan, is almost at 40. And we can actually see the cure pretty close out there on the horizon. So for me, this award stands as much for the hope ahead and for the struggle that we have had in the past. Some of you may have seen a piece that I did on Real Sports with Brian Gumbel a few months ago with Boomer Esiason, who I could also cite as an athlete who has done so much more beyond the field of play when his playing time was over. And Boomer's son, Gunnar, has cystic fibrosis. And in the piece, you saw Gunnar with a special vest on. CF is basically a lung disease, and the vest vibrates and helps him breathe better. But that was something that we did not have when Alex was alive. We had to pound on our child, as other parents did on their children with cystic fibrosis. Beating your own child in various positions, sometimes almost upside down. And one time I was talking to Alex as we did this therapy, and I said, Alex, what do you want to be when you grow up? And she said, Daddy, I'd like to be a princess. And I said, that's a really good occupation. I said, you meet a lot of good people, good travel, great clothing allowance, terrific job all around. And we continued. And a few months later, once again, I am doing therapy with Alex and pounding away. And I said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And she said, I want to be Nadia Comaneci. This was right after the 1976 Montreal Olympics. And I said, well, that's a good job too, but the last time I asked you, you said you wanted to be a princess. Why did you change your mind? And you got to remember, she's lying down like this, the blood rushing to her head, and she kind of turned around and she said, Daddy, I could never be a princess because my crown would fall off whenever I did therapy. And that was the wisdom of a child. It crushed me in a way, but it also made me think that those of us at cystic fibrosis, what we are trying to do still is making princesses. And what you are doing here at NCAS is giving us princesses and princes like tonight, like Jack and Dikembe and Fabian and Memora and Jason and Landon. You have given them to us as an example. And their crowns are all on straight, and we celebrate them all tonight as the best examples for all of us. And so I salute you all for your work. And I cannot thank the consortium enough for this lovely award that you have given me.
Again, congratulations tonight, Frank. We are honored to be able to put you into our Hall of Fame. But how do you feel about receiving that award?
Well, I said that I was so immediately honored when I heard that I was going to win it. But after hearing all the stories of all the other winners tonight, I think I'm more humbled than I am satisfied.
It's very humbling.
It's
very humbling.
I don't stand in their company in so many ways. They've had to overcome those people so much more than I have.
A lot, yeah.
And so it's given me, it's even more gratifying to win it under those circumstances. And of course, as I said, always was an admirer of Wayne Embry. I'm old enough to have seen him play and know what a great player and teammate that he was. So that makes it even better.
Wonderful. Now, last night at dinner, I mentioned to you that you are now a lifetime member of the consortium. So what does that mean to you, and how will you use that membership?
I'm not so sure how I will use it, but I know that I will always be very, very proud of it and ready to be at the call if I get the call, to do what I can for what a wonderful organization with so many grand ideals. I'm proud to be part of it.
We're working hard.
You are indeed.
We're working hard.
And you seem to be, more than working hard, you seem to be succeeding.
Thank you. Thank you. One last question.
Yes, sir.
We know that all of your loved ones and friends couldn't be here tonight to share this experience. So what would you tell them about this experience when you get to see them?
I'm going to tell them about the other people. They already know me. My kids don't have to hear anything about me. Hey, Daddy, I'm just Daddy to them. But I'm going to tell them about a young girl who lost her arm. I'm going to tell them about a young man with a terrible disease who still manages to run track. And I'm going to tell them about Dikembe Dikembe. I'm going to tell him about Dikembe Mutombo and all that he has done for his original continent and for all the people that he has worked for. I'm going to tell all those stories rather than say anything about myself.
Again, thank you and
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you, I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Great.